Welcome in, everybody. Something weird, something different. We're going to wrap up Wildcard weekend as we take you out with a live watch here on the last Wildcard game of the weekend.
It's not the last Wildcard game. There still is one tomorrow night.
This is technically the weekend. Monday doesn't count as a weekend, damn it. No, you're absolutely right. There is one more game tomorrow night. But Sunday night wrap up. Been watching as we go through. Been dinner with the family and everything like that. How's your night been?
Oh, it's been good. Just trying to do a little bit of work, on some draft prospects. You guys know I'm watching Travion Henderson, and I really like him. But all in all, this was the best game of the weekend, not even close. And the simple fact that everything else kind of sucked really brings down the weekend. So hopefully tomorrow night we get a good football game for Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you what, let's cross our fingers because it's been kind of building, right? Yeah. I had hoped things were going to be closer a couple of times, but as I've watched this on and off, it has felt pretty good. And while we're here at commercial break, good question from Mike. Make sure, folks, if you don't know us, like and sub and get here on the channel so you see the other stuff because we're going to cover the Chiefs, pretty much 24/7. That's basically the way we go about it. But we also cover the draft, and this is a good one. What do you think of Hutmacher? Is that how I pronounce that? And Ty Robinson?
I think so. I haven't seen much of Nash, to be honest with you, Mike, but Ty Robinson he feels like a Chiefs kind of defensive tackle. Still doesn't have that pass rush plan going for him, but he's big, 6'6", 310 pounds, and he's a good athlete. He's quick off the ball. It's inconsistent, but when he does hit that first step, he can still gap shoot there, and then he'd have Chris Jones to kind of learn from. So he's got that power, especially the speed to power to be able to pass rush a little bit, but he's definitely more of a developmental guy still, and at 23 years old, it's hard to see him developing what he needs to be a legit pass rusher.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I do have notes from him. My wife, if everybody doesn't know, is a Cornhusker, so we see some of their games a little bit. And some of my notes on Hutmacher in particular, that I do like his first step seems to come off the ball pretty well, and that I do like when he's shooting inside gaps. Especially early in the season, I thought he did better. You are absolutely right. Like the plan kind of broke down once there was more film on him in particular.
Yeah.
And for Robinson, I thought it was good power. Not much of a secondary move, not much of something that really puts some fear in you, but good, powerful guy. Somebody the Spags might be able to make something out of. Here, we're 3rd and 1, and they're in jumbo. Looks like I love seeing a fullback on the field, so we're going to see what happens. They're just about to snap it. I don't know if I'm behind or in front of you.
It looks like you're about where I'm at, and I think that's Brian Robinson Jr. with his hand in the dirt, so not a fullback. And they just don't run a play.
He's lined up as one. It looked good. You're absolutely right. It is Robinson. That's what I get for just glancing at it. I've tried to set up a secondary screen so I can actually watch while we do this. Not something I usually do. I've been playing with wires here since we finished earlier. If you guys missed it earlier, we did run down the Chiefs' impact. We had another live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If not, go back and check that out. Yeah, and that's kind of the question, Cody. Like when I left to come down here from upstairs, having just finished, sitting with the wife for a little bit after dinner, it was like on the other side of the 50-yard line. Everything was fine. I was like, oh, maybe we'll get to talk into overtime. Dan's like, no, dummy, you missed it because of this. I don't get
Miami Brown. Never wrong, just early on Miami Brown.
I love that. We'll come back to that question here in a second. Is hopefully they'll actually snap the ball this time.
There we go.
But they snuffed it for a second and let him get through.
That's gonna be game.
Daniels being Daniels. Yeah, that's gonna seal it. I mean, why let it do anything else than wind down and kick away, right? Like I wouldn't take another step on offense, would you?
No, just line up where you want the kick for Zane Gonzalez, and you let him kick a 32-yard pressure kick, and you just say, yeah, here we go.
Yep. Hey, it is what it is. I don't know Barron from Texas yet. What do you think?
Jahdae Barron is one of my favorite players. I already had a really high grade on him coming into the draft or into this season because I had him as a safety and they moved him out to corner, and we see him play awesome at corner. He's moving up into in first round contention for me, and that would be a great fit because that's just the kind of guy that Spags in this defensive coordinator room, which we don't know if it's going to be Cullen or Merritt, if Spags is around next year, which at this point, I know he wants to be a head coach. I know he does. I don't think he's going to be getting the third interviews for those, in my opinion, especially because every time these come around, they go into the Super Bowl, they go long into the postseason, and teams are just like, we want to interview other people. Just do what you got to do. So there is that to it, but Barron has that flexibility, the ball skills, the instincts that you want from a safety, a guy who can play DB and corner. Like, just he can do all of it. So absolutely.
So they do run a play. It's just a kneel out from Daniels and move the ball over to the other side, take that angle that they like probably a little bit better. So, hey, they can do what they want. That certainly does work. We're going to get to your question after the game's over here, Cody, because I think you set it up pretty well. But I do want to drop down to this one. Thank you, Chris. Has Jaden Daniels changed your perspective since last season when you scouted him after the draft? And he has, for me, really has like nailed down, not that he has to run. I thought early in the season, a little bit more like, hey, I'm bailing out. I'm going because I know I can do this. Mm-hmm. Seems like it's a little bit more tempered. And kudos for a rookie coming in, being a runner and getting this done in the postseason. That's a long way to go. And I think that's a credit to him. But I don't think that I've seen a whole lot of evolution other than maybe a little bit more restraint in the passing game. How do you feel about how he has evolved so far?
I don't know if necessarily he's evolved. I think this is what he always was at LSU. He's a guy who will take chances down the field, but he's a very accurate quarterback. And I think that I don't like the way that he's running personally in this game. And he's taken too many hits. He's always been that kind of Looney Tunes character where he kind of gets destroyed when he gets hit and he falls all over the place. So you see that in the game still, but he's been making more consistent throws over the middle of the field, which is not something he did at LSU either. That is the evolution process for me. And then we see this kick go up and he doinked it.
Doinks
in. Oh, he doinked it in.
I tell you what, from the last time that we saw the Chiefs doink a ball off the upright, good Lord. And I got to tell you, I feel terrible for Baker, but that's 2 this weekend. That's nuts.
Wow. That was I want to hear that one back. So, because we got the real, more of a thud in the Broncos game. This one probably was more of a doinking in. Man, that would have been hilarious if it goes in. But getting back to Jaden Daniels real quick, he's been throwing the ball more consistently over the middle of the field. This last drive, you saw him hit a dig route to De'Ami Brown. He was hitting dig routes to Terry McLaurin in this football game. Those are not the routes that he was the most comfortable throwing. Just not really wasn't really his game. And we've seen the deep ball. We've seen the twitchy, accurate release that he has. All that is starting to come in. And I had a mid first round grade on him coming out. So I was pretty high on him. So I'm pretty happy with the early returns on Jaden Daniels. And now he's got a postseason win under his belt.
Yeah. I mean, and the two-way go is something. And a lot of people are going to compare him. And I don't think it's wrong to do that. What's different about him than Anthony Richardson? And Jaden was always a better passer, understood where things needed to be in the college game. And that's why he's been able to make the leap. Is he a better runner than Anthony Richardson? I don't know that I'd say that. I feel like they're different styles, but I wouldn't say that he's necessarily better. I think he's a more well-rounded quarterback. And for those Colts fans that want to talk about, oh, he just got lucky in that system, he's with a first-year head coach that's a defensive head coach.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's luck.
So the thing I'll say about the Richardson to Jaden Daniels is Jaden Daniels started 4 years in college. Let's not forget how much he played. So he came into the league with experience. 2 years at Arizona State, transferred in 2 years in the offense in LSU. And what are they doing in Washington? A lot of the same things that he did at LSU. They're spreading wide. They're going up tempo. Anthony Richardson started 1 year.
Yeah.
And he didn't even start the full season. Then he came in and immediately got hurt after 4 starts. There's been no consistency for him. He hasn't been able to get that experience that he desperately, desperately needs. And that's why you see the fundamentals coming into Anthony Richardson's throwing styles, not working. The fundamentals of this real quick throw here, 5 yards out there, I can't hit it. But every now and then he throws an absolute dagger down the field because that's how he plays. Like, those are the highs of the highs. But you need experience And that's why we talk about how quarterbacks don't hit their prime until they're in their 30s. You have
honestly,
so much time.
And the way that this is going, I mean, kudos to Chris Ballard for surviving. I didn't think he was going to.
Shouldn't have.
And if they have another season similar to this, he won't again.
Yeah.
But it's also, I want to emphasize that Jane Daniels, they've done a very good job. And I think this is kudos to Cliff for just saying, this is what you do. We're going to do what you do better. We're going to do it at a pro level, but we're going to do what you do. Whereas they don't even know. They can't know what Anthony Richardson does because he hasn't done enough for you to actually evaluate him as a full, well-rounded quarterback. And that is now going to be another year removed and, God forbid, another coaching change removed. And you're still not going to have the answer. And this goes back to the thing, and I mentioned it earlier. If you guys haven't subscribed to NFL33.com yet, go do that. My piece on what the Patriots have chosen to do is very much in the same vein, because if you don't set up the correct support path for a young quarterback, especially if they're less experienced, you have no path forward. You're rummaging through the forest for all intents and purposes. And I worry about Drake May's evolution because of the Vrabel hiring and who he's going to put in. Because yes, he had floor early. Yes, moved on. Had Arthur. Okay, solid. What happened? And no one ever got to the top of the heap there as a young quarterback. The only success they had a quarterback in Tennessee was with a veteran that came in. And so all these quarterbacks goes back to tonight's game and seeing what Jaden's able to do. Kudos for that staff for keeping it straight down the line. Do what he does, and now slowly start to bend the orbit out and give him more things that he will eventually be good at.
Yeah, and the thing about the Vrabel hire in New England is that this is supposed to be a culture change, right? That's what they want. And Vrabel's not a offensive or defensive minded coach. He is he's actually, this is a better analogy. Dan Campbell is what everyone thinks Mike Vrabel is. That's what people think he is. That's not who he is. He's not going to do that. He isn't going to bring in, he has to get the offensive coordinator right. He has to. Otherwise, it's going to go poorly. And you'll see Drake May make a couple good plays here and there, but overall, he's not going to develop. Watch them bring back Josh McDaniels. That's what I think is actually going to happen.
And that would make sense. I mean, it's a comfort factor with the owner. And that's, if you guys haven't seen it yet, seriously, go check it out, NFL33.com. That's the thing, is they chose comfort. Mike is a guy that's been through that system. He's been through Kansas City. We know him. We've seen him. But it isn't about maturation from his standpoint. I would actually call him, like you said, he's not Dan Campbell. He is more the CEO type, the set the tone type. Honestly, a guy who's under fire right now that I don't think deserves it is Mike Tomlin. For that type of, he's not the X's and O's, but he is set the tone, set the culture, do what you got to do. What did I miss?
No. Can I just have a real quick question, a real quick minute on Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin is so good at his job that he can't get a quarterback. He can't do it because all he's done is win 8 games at least his entire career. And what do you need to do to get a quarterback? You have to bottom out, or you have to get lucky. You have to trade up when you have a guy. They have not been able to do so. They drafted Kenny Pickett in hopes that he'd become that. But the Steelers have never, they went out and tried 2 different veteran quarterbacks this offseason, and one young and one old, in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And neither of them worked.
No.
So I understand that the Mike Tomlin can't get over the hump. Maybe, I don't know, just maybe his success is doing him a disservice. And it's not necessarily that he should be fired. A change of scenery might just be the best course of outcome for him to get a better quarterback, because it's just not happening.
You may be right, but I will say this. I think maybe the most intriguing thing that is going to go on, because especially as we go back to this game that we just watched end with Jaden Daniels doing his thing and being him, I still don't think anybody knows what J.J. McCarthy is. And I think there's a significant chance that someone else, maybe even the Steelers, chooses to trade for him based on his evaluation from last season, knowing that there's no way he's made any physical progress, but he has been in the building. He has learned how pros prepare. Like, he is a guy that if you were willing to give up draft picks, you could go get somebody that still has all the potential that you thought. I don't think the injury changes that. Maybe you disagree. but you can start fresh. And right now, I think the Minnesota Vikings have a very, very interesting offseason ahead.
Now, we're going to be watching the Minnesota Vikings tomorrow play against the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm going to tell you right now, if they stick with Sam Darnold, they're fools. They're fools. And it's not because I don't think Sam Darnold has finally figured it out. I do. I think he has. The problem is you drafted a number one quarterback in the first round to reset everything, to reset the fiscal part of the quarterback.
Yes.
You brought in Sam Darnold, and then you said, okay, well, yeah, we're going to just trade it off to J.J. McCarthy when he's ready. And unfortunately, the injury is what it is. But you're going to have to pay Sam Darnold $60 million. You're going to have to do it as the Vikings will. On the open market, he's going to make $55-60 million. Guess what? They can't do it. If they do it, they are fools, and they will run everything into the ground, especially if they trade J.J. McCarthy away to do that. Now, J.J. is the mystery box, right? You don't know what he's going to be.
Right.
But with all the money you'll have, you can put some things around him. You already have the best receiver in football. You have Darisaw coming back next year. You have ways to make your offensive line better. TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. There are ways. Go improve the defense more and then figure it out. Do not do it.
I think they're going to be tempted to. And I'll take the other side. I don't necessarily believe this, but I'll tell you what the other side looks like. And that is he tried and tried and tried. And Kevin O'Connell tried to get Kirk Cousins to be what Sam Darnold is now. And now Sam has figured it out. So maybe the two of them are able to produce more and better ball than another combination. Maybe that includes JJ. Maybe they're concerned like, we caught lightning in a bottle this season. We can improve it. This is our chance. This is our window. We got to do it with this guy. That's what I'm worried they're probably thinking in the building, or at least that's part of the discussion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think overall, it's going to be a very interesting thing to think about. And then, like I said, maybe if the Vikings lose to the Rams, which I think they absolutely could and might tomorrow, that will reset some of their mental obstacles that might be coming across with recency bias.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. If they snap out of it, I think that's going to be very telling. And I don't think, let's see, thank you, FLDB, for giving us the just confirmed schedule here. So the Chiefs are going to be the first game of the divisional weekend early, meaning afternoon game on Saturday. Works for me. Then Commanders at Lions. I don't think that's going to be as much of a ball game as people right now tonight in the glow of this one think it will be, but that's fine. And then the early game again will be Vikings Rams. I'm sorry, Rams at Eagles. Is that right? No. Is that correct? Oh, updated. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm just going off of you, Frankie. So thanks. And that's what it comes down to. And I am very interested to see if there's anything left in the tank, because you get to this point, you've worked, you've done it. And I think we both have a healthy respect for Kevin O'Connell, what he's been able to do, right? Yeah. Especially in shifting these gears this year. But is there a higher gear? Can you go to another level? That's going to be the question. If they do, would that change your mind?
I don't think so. Again, I think I've seen the best Sam Darnold and Minnesota Vikings offense already this season. I think I've already seen it. And no offense to the Rams, but if you put up 40 on the Rams defense, you're not really changing my mind. The Rams defense does not have very much outside the front four. So if you light up their secondary, okay, cool. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But if you don't light up the Rams defense in the secondary, that's where we start to get into some of the, okay, well, maybe it's Sam Darnold, and maybe it's not the best idea to sink $60 million a year into this guy going forward for 5-ish years. I know he's young still, but you got to think about it.
Man, it's tough. It is crazy to think that we're talking about this amount of money. And just a few years ago, we were baffled that Patrick would average 45. And we're talking about $60 million quarterbacks. And we haven't even started talking about Dak or anything. Like, there are other contracts that are going to be out here that are just going to be absolutely stir crazy. And I'm personally here for it. So, hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a couple of questions. We're going to take some of them here as we wrap up Wildcard weekend, not Monday. Sorry. Who are the home run running backs? You've done a ton of this. I know you like Amarian, but who are the home run hitters? The guys that can hit that top gear like Jamal used to.
There's a lot of like really good fast guys. I don't think that there's a ton of straight burners. Like there's not. I don't think there's a Jamal Charles. I don't think there's a Jahmyr Gibbs. I have not done all of them, so that's just prefacing this. I think Devin Neal is a fast guy. I think he's quicker than he is fast in the NFL. That's what I'm going to say. I don't think he's going to have the home run hitting speed at like he does at Kansas in the NFL. I think it'll be a little bit different. Caleb Johnson's got 4.4 speed out of Iowa. Travion Henderson with this top gear has 4.4 speed at Ohio State. There's that as well. You have to consider. Donovan Edwards would if he lost like 5 pounds, 10 pounds. Like he looks like he's carrying heavy weight. He also looks awful. Like he looked awful at Michigan this year. Maybe at the Senior Bowl he'll look a little bit better, but I don't see that from him. Overall, there's just too many talented running backs in this class, and it's getting bigger because Jaden Blue out of Texas committed today.
Did he?
Yeah, he's going to enter the draft, which was a shocker for me. I didn't think he would do that. I think he'd come back. RJ Harvey out of UCF is another one of those fast guys. Reminds me a little bit of DeAndre Swift with slightly better vision. Not much, but he does try to bounce things outside a lot because he's very fast. He's very quick, gets up to speed really fast. So there's a ton of them.
Get to the space, brother. Get to the space.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frankie, for the reformat because now I can actually read things because I'm dumb. So Sunday at 2 would be the winner of Vikings Rams versus the Eagles. That's what I was trying to say before, and I just couldn't get it out of my face. So
gotcha.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. How would you stop Henry and Lamar if they're running 30 plus times against us? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to have to stay in base. You're going to have to rely on your safeties to cover 2 deep zones, and you're going to have to man up on the corners. And if you're comfortable with that, then okay. I'm a little nervous because Zay has beaten them before, and maybe it's simple as you lock McDuffie on Zay and you go to town, you stack the box against everything else. What do you think?
If you get Jalen Watson for the championship game, I'm in. I'm absolutely in for that because I think that I like the matchup with him and Rashad Bateman. That's the one matchup. I don't like him against Josh Williams against Bateman. I think Bateman will round him up. He's better this year than he was last year. We've already seen he's comfortable. He looks back to Minnesota, Rashad Bateman. So that is a little bit of a worry if you don't have Jalen Watson. On the other hand, fine. I'm going to put my best guy on. I might even take a little bit of a Bill Belichick approach with this. I'm going to take Trent McDuffie. I'm going to put him on Rashad Bateman, and then I'm going to double Zay Flowers. That's what I'm going to do with my second and my safety. That's what I might do.
Okay. I think this, and you guys, you're going to hear our full game plan and what has to happen later in the week on Friday. But I'll just preview it for you. For me, it's going to be a big thing about where is Jaden Hicks and what is he doing? Because if they're just sticking him and trying to make him play single high, which they have done in the past, I don't think that does it. I think they got to play cover 2 bases. You can play 4s if you want. You can play 6s, but you got to start with 2 high because you got to keep the quarterback looking at that and let Jaden roam underneath. I want to see him in more of like the old Honey Badger role where he's just kind of like shifting over the top. I don't need the inversions, but I want him to be able to move.
I understand that. I think that Justin Reed has earned that in the postseason, and he's experienced it as well. He's played better, obviously, in the postseason, as his track record indicates. And you give Jaden a little bit of time to look. He's going to play. He's going to play. That's not a problem at all. But I think that Justin Reed has earned that role right now. And until the wheels fall off this season, I think that he should roll that way.
I think I'm down with you. This one's for you, buddy. Kyron Lacey, who I do not know yet. Talk to me, Goose.
Man, this is an unfortunate one because I was very high on Kyron Lacey before the news dropped 2 days ago about him being wanted for manslaughter. I believe it was. But I read the police report. He was weaving in and out of traffic, caused an accident that ended up killing somebody and fled without getting police or anybody. So that's got to play itself out. At least that's what, according to the police report. Who knows if it's accurate or not?
My answer is yes.
Yeah, if it's true, he is undraftable.
Okay. It is what it is. Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. Can he fall? Oh, sure, he can fall 3-4 places. He could fall to 15, maybe. I don't know.
He's not going 15. I think he's probably still in a fringe first round pick. There's a lot of very talented defensive tackles in this class, and I love Tyleik Williams. I think I still have him around fringe first, but I wouldn't be shocked if he was there in the early parts of the second round.
Okay. That's fair. That makes me actually feel better because right now I've only looked at a handful of guys, and other than Graham, I don't see anybody else that I'm putting ahead of him yet. Who should I be looking at?
Walter Nolan is, in my opinion, better out of Ole Miss.
Okay.
I still think Kenneth Grant out of Michigan is an upside bet better than Tyleik Williams. But again, there's maybe someone takes a shot on the guy out of Kentucky, Dion. I forget his name.
Yes,
but he's that big, gigantic, athletic guy who wasn't very good at Kentucky this year. But it happens. People you get guys that are always looking to Deion Walker. There it is. Excuse me. Also, Alfred Collins out of Texas is starting to get a lot more push up the board too. Lots of flashy plays, really good run defender, big physical with some pass rush upside too. So there's a lot of defensive tackles that could go in the first round. I mean, there's even talk that Harmon out of Oregon is going to be a first round pick.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. Although he and Nolan I have not seen on film yet. So, okay. I definitely still have work to do. But hey, Swag Boy, we'll keep an eye on it because I do like his game. I hate this game for Baker. I do too. You know, he's put in a good couple of years in Tampa. He's won me over the last few seasons. Everybody has injuries, but I'm losing Godwin is huge. That's fair. It seems like NFC South will still is wide open for them to win it next year, though. That's absolutely true. The clock's just a ticking on Mike Evans, though. I mean, for him to hit that 1,000 was significant. He still looks good, but I mean, at some point he will fall off of a cliff. So
yeah, at some point, I think that we got the Jalen McMillan stuff right. I know he had a drop in this game, but he looks the part. That's going to be great. Hopefully, you get Chris Godwin back next year. He's healthy, but at the end of the day, the core for Buffalo the Bucs offense is an aging core, and that's a problem. Now, the offensive line looks great. It looks awesome. They got lots of youth, lots of talent there. Bucky Irving is a legitimate stud, and everyone who thought he wasn't just because he couldn't run a 40 and it wasn't the best athlete out there, watch some ball and learn some ball because that dude was always a baller out of Oregon. Loved him so much. But yeah. Hate it for
I am too, and I will tell you this: like, if they can put it together one more run next year, I think they have a shot there. After that, it gets a little iffy. Am I wrong, or is Wirfs a free agent?
I don't think so. I think he got paid.
Did he? Okay.
But if he didn't, he was the first tackle to ever get all pro on the left and the right. So he's getting paid no matter what.
Right.
I believe he did, though.
If you already did, then well done. Good timing there. Mr. Lick, you got it in under the wire. If you could choose who we play in the AFC Championship, who would it be?
If I had to choose, give me Buffalo.
Yeah.
I want the revenge game. I love the revenge aspect of it. And that's how this works. The Chiefs lose to the Bills in the regular season and they beat them in the postseason. I want this to happen again.
Just so you can say that it's a nice cycle. Okay, I'll go with you. I'm not going to argue. I really didn't have one, but hey, you convinced me. Now that Washington is won, do you guys think that do they have a realistic path to the Super Bowl? I mean, they have one hurdle in front of them. They beat the Lions, and they're as legit as anybody I can see in this field.
I know that you're not convinced it's going to be as close of a game. That Lions defense is suspect.
Yeah,
it is because they've got so many injuries. They have so many injuries, and I know that it appears that Terry and Arnold is going to play. But overall, they don't have a pass rush. They've been scheming guys open in terms of pass rush, which is good. But I think that Jaden Daniels and the fact that when you go back and I think that the Lions defense is susceptible to the running quarterback. And I think Jaden Daniels is primed to just light that defense up with his arm and his legs.
Okay. Right. You know the Lions better than I do. I will tell you that. That's for sure. And I've switched over. We're getting a little bit of a post-game presser. I'll let you guys know if there's anything major here. And this is kind of fun for us, something new. We don't usually do this with Chiefs games because we are working. So if you don't know us and you're just hanging out, we're just doing this for fun. As it was a live watch for the end of the game, and now we're just kind of recapping it. But we will give you our live reaction post-game for the Chiefs every single time. So make sure that you subscribe and get in there. If you want the extra content, we do have a members group there where you get videos and notes in the whole 9 yards. So check that out as well. Texans versus our rest advantage. Who has the advantage? I also hope for playoff Butker is back. I hope so too. I think that miss was a fluke. I'm not concerned about that, and I will take the rest advantage, especially for this Chiefs game, just Chiefs team, for having that such an early bye. I think the rest is paramount over everything else.
Yeah, hopefully that rest gets Butker ready to go too, because I'll be honest, I never really saw him going down to the knee as much as he was. True. And that was a little worrisome for me. So we'll find out pretty early how he looks, and that's what you want. So hopefully the rest works for him.
Yeah. Decimus, thank you. And Cole, thank you, buddy. If you guys don't know Cole, give him a hand. He and Frankie, both of our mods, are in the house here. We appreciate you guys very much, keeping it clean. Hope all as well as always. Nice to see you, Lonnie. Keep yourself in the right frame of mind, my pal, because we are going. Do you have to sign one guy long term to a deal with their current team right now, Darnold or Purdy? Sorry to do it to you. That's a good one, Charlie. I appreciate you setting it up. That's a tall one because I am not convinced of Purdy. Would you?
It's pretty easy for me. I would take Sam Darnold in a heartbeat.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even think about it because Purdy doesn't have the arm. He just doesn't. Sam Darnold, yeah, he's going to make some decisions that you don't want him to. That dude can make all the throws, and he's done it this year constantly, time after time. I know he had a rough game against the Lions, but most of these games he has been clutch, and he's delivered the football where it needs to be and on time. And Brock Purdy is a very good distributor, but overall, when it's on his shoulders to win a football game, and they can't run the ball and they can't do play action, he's not getting you what you need.
Well, and I'll put it to you this way, because I always put myself as though I'm the GM or one of the advisors or whatever. What does this guy do that I can't replace on the street next week? And if I can't replace him on the street, okay, are there no draft prospects that can do what you do? And unfortunately for Brock Purdy, I don't see any skill sets there that Kyle Shanahan can't get out of another quarterback.
Agreed.
Okay. So at least we see it similarly. We're always looking for disagreements here, folks. I know you guys thrive on that. We'll find some eventually, but we watch ball in the same way. Jaden Higgins from Iowa to the Chiefs. What do you think? Thanks, Salvage.
So Iowa State wide receiver, big, good route runner, got great ball skills. He just doesn't really drop the football. If you're not getting DeAndre Hopkins back, sure. Like, he's a big guy you can have on the outside, but I think that's something you need to look for in Kansas City. Again, if they want to start throwing the football into some of those 50-50 situations, which Patrick seems a little bit more reasonable to do, I think that's a very good place to start. I like Jaden Higgins a lot. He'll be probably a second round, third round player for me. This Senior Bowl, a good Senior Bowl week can put him into the second round, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think it did Ricky Pierce a world of wonder last year. And I think Ricky's just on his way up again.
Just takes one team.
Yeah, right. You got to make it work the way it needs to work. Thank you, Salvage. Appreciate the support too, buddy. Samurai, should the NFL go back to the old playoff format after the 7 seeds failed to show up again? I mean, I actually do like this because I feel like it pushes teams to play through the end of the season more because there's fewer buys available. But I don't know. There's a little more tension the other way. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I don't really care. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't care about the 7-seeder versus just having 6 teams in. I think Ryan's right in the sense that look around the NBA, look around a lot of sports where it's a little bit easier to make it. Like the NBA literally has a play-in game. It's a play-in game. It's okay, cool. We can just be a 7 or 8, 9, 10 seed and still find a way into the playoffs. Like, that's ridiculous. If you have one bye, it creates a little bit more near the end of the season for teams to fight for. And I'm okay with it. Going further for an 8 seed, I'm out. Completely out.
I agree. And I think this game that we just finished watching, the Commanders were the 6th. So yes, they would still be in, but like I think that matchup 6 versus 3 tells you that anything can happen. And yes, the 7s didn't play very well this particular year, but I don't think that necessarily means they won't going forward, or because they're a 7 they can't. So I'd still roll with it. Frankie, thanks, buddy. I'll be at the Chiefs game on Saturday, section 301, row 20. He's putting out there, you can go find FLDB in 301. Hit that 20th row, bud. Hey, somebody buy him a beer for me, okay? Chris, nice to see you. What each team's flaw in each conference has the most concern for you? Okay, just so I can keep this crap straight, because you know me.
On the screen.
Yeah, let's bring that thing back, and we'll take a look at it. So each team remaining. Let's start in the NFC. So Lions, where are you at?
Their injuries on defense. That's what it is. Like, I don't care about anything else. It's the injuries on defense, because if you can't stop a nosebleed in the postseason, eventually a defense that is healthy will find a way to stop you one way or the other and put you in a poor position.
Defense does win championships. There's a reason they say that, folks. I know it doesn't feel like it in the fantasy era, but it does. Look at how much running has made impact on this weekend alone, right? Yeah. The defense is the counteraction to that, and we will see more of that next weekend. And I agree with you. That's my biggest concern as well. So for the Commanders here, who they will face, I would say, honestly, it's about the youth. Can they repeat this? Can they stay comfortable in their game plan? And if the Lions are able to get them out of their game plan, do they have enough maturity with how long, not just that the quarterback's a rookie, but they haven't been a team together. They haven't been under this staff that long. Can they roll with the punches? That's probably my biggest concern.
I mean, they can't run the ball outside of Jaden Daniels. Like, I like Brian Robinson, but that offensive line is not doing enough right now running the football. And Tampa Bay does not like have a bunch of world beaters in terms of run defense. They've not been very good against the run this season. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but from what I've watched, it doesn't seem like they have been very good stopping the run. So that's where it comes down to, because it's kind of twofold. If you can't run the football and you lean more into Jaden Daniels running, he's taking a lot of hits. That's not good for you. That creates a bad problem. So that's my biggest worry, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and this is it is attrition. This, I know it's only like 3 rounds, right? For the Chiefs, they can play 3 games and win a championship. But each of those rounds is more intense than a couple of games in the regular season. It is really a whole nother level when you get to this point. So for the Eagles, I know that they've been running like mad for a while. Can they continue that? Can they be who they are and not have to get themselves in a situation where they have to go to Jalen? That's going to be my question.
Jalen does not look good. He came back off of that concussion and does not look the same. And they just willy-nilly threw him into the fire. Kellen Moore was calling keepers. Obviously the sneaks, they were throwing him into, he was taking hits. Again, no. I know they didn't need him to win the game, but if they do, there is a team that can force you to need it, right? He's not ready to do that. And I don't think he's regressed as a passer, in my opinion. I'll be honest. He's regressed.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Okay, so that covers the NFC, at least that we know so far. We know our Chiefs. For the Texans, it's can they well, you go first on the Texans.
Offensive line. If you don't protect CJ Stroud, that's it. There's nothing else. The defense is good. The weapons are what they are at this point. You have a decent running game. Joe Mixon has given you what you needed, but can you protect CJ Stroud? Because they haven't been able to do it almost all season.
Yeah. If you have singular breakdowns, that can throw off their entire game. Bills, pretty straightforward to me. I felt like they played above the rim today, or yesterday, or whenever that was. Yeah, today. I don't know that they can repeat that defensive performance. I don't know that they can stop the Ravens from scoring 30. I certainly know that in this go-around, they will not stop the Chiefs from scoring 30. So for me, it comes back to that, yes, you played better today on that side of the ball. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, I'm with you. The defense, it's progressively gotten a little bit worse. And I think it's more the players and the scheme or the coaching, because they're typically a well-coached unit, but we haven't seen that level of play from the players this last couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And Ravens, what do you think is the weakness there?
Right now it's the back end, he says questioningly.
Yeah, iffy maybe. Marlon played out 2 weeks ago.
I really don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't have a very good answer for this right now because the Ravens look legitimately like a complete football team. But I'll just say it.
I will put it this way. For me, it's going to be if you have to pass. Can the passing attack against a good secondary actually win ball games? Because I'm not convinced, especially if Zay Flowers doesn't play. Bateman is what he is. Aguilar, whoever else walks out there. Yeah. Yes, the tight ends are going to roll you. And the Chiefs are tough here because no matter what happens, they're going, if they beat the Texans, and I'm trying not to act like it's a sure thing, although I think it's a pretty sure thing. But whoever they play next will have a tight end duo to attack them with. Something that they've been, suspect against, to say the least, lately. So for me, it's stack the box, take away their run. They've been good against Derrick Henry in the past. They've been decent against Lamar. If you play with your intent to stop what they want to do and force them to the pass game, that's where my question shows up.
That's fair. The good news about this matchup is that they're going to get the other team's best shot. The Bills and the Ravens are going to take each other out one way or the other, and hopefully, if the Chiefs win on Saturday against the Texans, you face a lesser version of the team that rolled into that game on Sunday afternoon against. Interesting. Yeah. Why did they not get the Sunday night game? I don't understand that one at all. Oh, they gave it to Tony Romo. That's why. Oh, okay, I understand. Big shock there.
And so for the people asking, it looks like it is on ESPN/ABC for the Chiefs on Saturday. So there's a lot that goes into each one. And I agree with you. The attrition that comes from playing a beat 'em up game with the 2 and 3 seeds, people are going to complain. They're going to tell you, oh, the Chiefs didn't have to do anything. They had the easy route. Yes, they did, because they earned the first round seed. That is exactly the reason you do that.
You go 15-1 and 15-2 because to get that, like everyone's complaining about them winning close games. You want to know where close games typically happen? Divisional, AFC Championship games, Super Bowl. Those are when they really matter, and the Chiefs are already well versed, like they already have been in one-score games.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. That is where the rubber hits the road. All right, last call for questions, folks. We're going to get after them here. Beefy, pretend Spags leaves for a head coaching job somewhere. Would you rather promote Cullen or Merritt or bring in Lou Anarumo?
I would love to bring in Lou, but we know Andy Reid is a promote from within guy, and he would do that. But if it were me, I'd bring in Lou.
Okay. I would bring in Lou anyway, just not as the DC. I think it should be Dave Merritt myself. I think there are reasons for that because I feel like the defensive front is more important right now. And I feel like there's enough support that Dave could become the HC without having a fallback on the secondary. Whereas if Joe had to be the DC, I'm not sure the defensive line group would sustain the development they need to sustain. So that's my thought. And that's where I'd bring in Lou and let him have his pick. He's got experience all over the place. So I'm comfortable with all of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would also bring in a lot of different people. I think Mike Pettin's still out there somewhere. Like you could fill this staff with a lot of interesting experience to really make the most of what is. I would like to see a hybrid base defense next year. I think that there are some 3-4 schemes that this personnel would be good at running. And I'd like to see him be able to mix it up based on matchup every week.
Yeah, I want to be able to get some speed rushers into the Chiefs defense.
Yes.
Like I understand you've got Chris Jones and you want to facilitate and blitz. Just give me something. I like speed off the edge. What can I say? I like guys that are 250, 260 that just have that gear. Just let me see something.
Yeah. I mean, do something that we haven't seen in quite a while. And it might even go all the way back. You could complain that since Justin Houston left, there's been no speed attack. And Justin wasn't the most fiery guy speed-wise off the edge too. So you can go all the way back to Derek. Nikki, thank you for this one. I'm glad Casey is playing this afternoon. I can leave after today and be home before midnight. That's a plus. I know that is a nice day. Enjoy yourselves. Susie asked about Eric Bieniemy. I don't know what's going on with Eric. There's been a lot of discussion. Spags had an interview. Mike Borgonzi interviewed with the Titans today.
Yep.
Haven't heard anything about Eric interviewing, though. Have you?
No, because nobody wants to hire a guy who refers to coaches as little brothers. That's what I get. He rubs people the wrong way. And I think that we're seeing that. That was rumored in the head coaching cycle years ago. And it holds true that he just rubs people the wrong way. And the only person that he doesn't rub wrong is Andy Reid. So if he's going to be in the league again, it's going to be with Andy Reid or nobody else.
It's kind of how it feels like to me. And I'm not going to complain. I do think there is something a little less aggressive, a little less edgy, particularly about the run game now than there was. But I don't know that that's going to happen either. No. I think there is also a feeling like it played its part. We're evolving to the next version of what we're going to be. The bigger question for me is, if Matt Nagy gets hired away, is there enough? Because we've seen the depth kind of rotate out quite a bit. I know Doug's out there. You could do that and bring people back. But if you just stayed in-house, how comfortable are you with making those elevations?
That's the problem, right? You don't really know. And Joe Blameyer would typically be the guy that's going to be your offensive coordinator. Now, it worked out for Mike Kafka a little bit. He had the year with Daniel Jones where he and Daboll were making everything work. Problem is, you can only do so much with a limited mental quarterback. Just what it is. And Daniel Jones has shown injuries, not being able to see any pressure at all, bad offensive line. It doesn't work. Okay. So, yeah, I think you could promote Joe Blameyer. You're probably going to also get some young, different stuff into the offense, some new creative things that you maybe would have had if it were Kafka in the situation right now instead of Matt Nagy.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it. Well, folks, it was a good game, best game of the weekend so far. There will be another tomorrow night. We're going to do our normal Q&A at our normal time. We'll have some overlap. Do you have something else?
I was just going to say, what do you want to see tomorrow night? Who do you want to see winning? Because obviously we're going to be on stream when they are playing. So maybe you give everyone a little bit of a insight into what you want to see tomorrow versus Vikings and Rams.
Yeah, like I'm stuck between the two stories, right? Like for the Rams, we both found Puka early. I think we can both claim him as our guy. I want to see him be successful. I like the whole thing with Stafford and his rejuvenation out there, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, it hasn't even hurt the Lions, so it didn't cost another team to do it. But I do like this thing with O'Connell and Darnold and seeing Addison now be not just that guy they drafted, but an actual weapon to go with, JJ. Like, oh, man, I'm torn. If I had to pick just like based on what I want, I'd probably go Minnesota. You?
That's fair. It is fair. I want Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's one of my favorite players in the league. I love the way he plays quarterback. And when he's playing at a high level, it's one of the most beautiful things to watch because he can not only make every throw, he is willing to put that thing on a dime downfield through the dime and to where he's trying to get the football. I love watching that type of quarterback play. That's what I love. So it's Matthew Stafford for me. Also, they're the underrated team because the defense is not as good, and they have some legitimate dudes on that defensive line, young guys. I love Jared Verse. Braden Fisk was a huge story for Florida State last year after he transferred in, and he athletically blew up the combine. That was insane to watch. So I'm rooting for the Rams in large part because Matthew Stafford's one of my favorite players in football.
That's super legit. We got one more question. I'm just going to go leave out real quick. Why isn't Luardi in the building as a defensive consultant like Fangio was a few years ago? It's a very good point. And it's something that I said the day that he got fired. No. It just comes down to he's not part of Reed's tree. And while he might consider an interview him and stuff, it's not something he's going to do like that. I would have, but I don't think Andy would.
It's weird, man. If I understand that they trust in everything that they do, give me what you do to shut down my quarterback. Just give me that so that I can find it when other teams try to do it because they're going to watch your tape. And I want to know when they bring this out, I want to say, hey, just do this. Just
Yeah.
do this and you'll be
Yep.
fine. Just talk to him. I don't know.
There's been fewer worthier opponents that have played the Chiefs as defense coordinator in this league in the last 3 years than Lou. So like just that information alone, I think would be key. So
Yeah.
we'll find out. We'll see what happens. Folks, thanks for joining us on kind of an impromptu thing tonight. Dan, thanks for being available. I know that Miss Avery's always in there. And Casey, you're always on time. So I'm also a Washington fan. Lisa Al-Gaib. Okay, I just watched that again the other night. We have our Mahomes in DC. Can't wait for next year's matchup. Okay. I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean,
let all the fans of the young quarterbacks have it. Okay. We all remember what it was like. The difference is we didn't get to see it his rookie year until week 17. Okay. That was a little bit different. It was a flash in the pan. We didn't get to see it. And he just witnessed it. The fans witnessed the first playoff win in a long time. I know they almost beat Tom Brady a few years ago with what's his face, Taylor Heineke, who nearly pulled off that glorious victory, but have it. Hopefully he doesn't fall off next year with that sophomore slump that we are seeing with CJ Stroud this year. But I'm excited for Washington fans, how quickly things can change when you get the right culture in your football team and you get out the dead, damn, disgusting weight that is Dan Snyder and what an awful human being he is.
Yeah, you are not wrong. And taking a chance going outside the NFL family to get some GMs in there that have different experience, doing things differently, refreshing the league. I think that's in it. If every team out there scouting this video would like something refreshing, I have some new stuff for you. Let's talk. It'll be great. Thank you guys for joining us. We had a good time. We appreciate you being with us. Q&A tomorrow night like normal, and we'll get back after as the Chiefs get ready for the Texans. Have a great night. We'll catch you then.